Hi, I'm Arvind Harinder, and I'm a program manager on the Azure Active Directory Identity and Access Management team. And I'm joined by one of my teammates, Sadie Henry.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Today, we'll talk about how you can leverage step-by-step guidance and best practices that Microsoft has created to help you start rapidly deploying features such as single sign-on and self-service password reset. First, let's talk about why we're creating this guidance. We've listened to you, our customers, and heard the need for end-to-end guidance. We've leveraged our collective experience at Microsoft working with customers all over the world to create a set of deployment plans. These documents explain the business value of Azure Active Directory capabilities, as well as Microsoft best practices for how to plan, implement, and operationalize solutions. They even include content such as help desk training, system architecture diagrams, and end-user email templates when appropriate. Let's go through a deployment plan so that you can get a sense for how to use it. To help with this, we will have Sadie walk through the single sign-on deployment plan with me. She will be the single sign-on expert, helping me, the customer, get single sign-on working with GitHub.
All right, let's get started. So Arvind, can you tell me a little bit about your organization and what your plans are with GitHub?
Yeah, the engineering team is making a big push with open source and using GitHub and is looking to start leveraging it immediately. They actually want to get started this week and are considering moving forward without setting up single sign-on.
Okay, so you can use the following to help them understand what single sign-on is and how it can help them be more productive, while also managing the risk of user accounts being compromised. Now let's get started with planning your single sign-on deployment. First, who all in your organization needs to approve this project? We can use this document to make sure that all stakeholders are aligned from the start.
Well, there's Jim from the sales team and Sally from security. She's definitely going to be interested in this. There's also Taylor from the support team. We'll need to involve each of them before we can call this deployment complete.
Okay, so I'll add them to the document, and then we can share it with them to get alignment across the teams that they're a part of. Now let's talk about some of the things that you'll want to consider before deploying single sign-on. First, what kind of Azure AD licenses do you have?
Yeah, we just bought 500 licenses of Azure Active Directory Premium for key folks in our organization and are looking to whether we want to buy more. Security and ease of use are top of mind for us, and we need to get this project done in a few weeks.
Okay, that's great. So it's actually really easy to get started with Azure Active Directory Premium. Let's begin by getting SSO enabled for the apps that are most important to your organization, and then we can build on that by expanding to other scenarios over time. Once we get SSO enabled, we've also got some great deployment plans for how you can secure access for your entire organization with multi-factor authentication and conditional access. The next thing you'll want to think about is how you want to set up single sign-on with GitHub. You have the decision to do password-based single sign-on or use federation through a protocol such as SAML. Microsoft recommends that you do federation with Azure AD. Are you okay with doing federated single sign-on?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I want to keep the data in GitHub as secure as possible.
Okay, great. So I'll remove the sections of the document that are about password-based single sign-on. Okay, now will you have users outside of your organization accessing GitHub as well?
No, we're just going to start within our engineering team for now. We'll look into expanding to external users later.
Okay, so then we can remove the B2B collaboration section from your deployment plan. The next thing we'll want to do is figure out endpoints. You'll need to contact GitHub to find out the single sign-on URL and identifier. You can use the attached template to reach out to GitHub. Once you get that information, we can come back to get this document filled out with that information and start rolling out your application.
Thanks a lot, Sadie. This was really helpful in getting me started. We won't go through the entire deployment plan here, but I'll leave you with some comments about how you can get started using them. We've created deployment plans for several Azure Active Directory workloads and made them publicly available at aka.ms/deploymentplans. We encourage you to download and customize them to meet your organization's needs.
Yeah, and if you find the deployment plan helpful and would like to use it for other features, let us know. We have a short survey you can take at aka.ms/deploymentplanfeedback. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.